ice cream, logical cream, flavors. Let's make a move, get away, what's your flavor? Tell me what it is again. What you like, get it twice, what's your style? Let's get crazy, let's get lit, let's get wild. Take you out, show you off, what's your flavor? Tell me what it is again. Anywhere in the world, take your mile. Show me the real, you go and let it out. Your flavor, vanilla mix on brown cones, rainbow sprinkles on your AP two-tone.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Gani, and we here on 95 South TV once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be on this great platform, to be able to talk about great topics, to have great people. You know what I'm saying? So before we gonna get into this, I got my right hand man. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama favorite host, Jacob the Great. What's going on, fam?
Man, what up, man? What up? What up? What the business is, man?
None. Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. So let's get into the first topic, man. What we got going on tonight? You know what I mean, I know you set up
Man,
everything.
um, we're talking about the emerge of independent artists and how they can be seen as with the mainstream artists. At one time, you had it all separated. And so, do you think that's good for music, or you think it's bad for music? Because I remember when I was getting started with the music business, you had underground artists and you had mainstream, and no underground artist was ever with a mainstream artist unless they was opening up for them. But as far as music, when you just like the streaming service, everybody is on one platform. A lot of people don't agree with that. Do you think it's good for the music business, or do you think music business is all over the place?
I just think it depends on the quality of the music and basically like the. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to, I guess you want to say the technicalities of how you put the music out, it should be kind of should be kind of set up the same. Like say example, if you look at like if you look at like Tay and look at CO like what they doing over there at COG, basically when they submit music, even if they get independent, if they got distribution with one of these independent companies, they still have to submit it a certain kind of way. And so a lot of times, if you don't, if you're just putting out music on your own, a lot of times what'll happen is the quality of the music is not really there, or the sound or the look, or just like anything. Like if it's like let's say it's an independent if it's an independent movie. You know what I mean? And you know it's the difference between if you watch a movie at a cinema or if you watching a movie, what I'm saying, on Tubi. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of Tubi, but we all know some of those movies look kind of cheesy, excuse me, look cheesy and look misplaced. So it's the same thing. I feel like with the music. You know what I mean? It has to be presented should be presented a certain way. But as far as being all in the same like category, or because I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have like independent like top 25 versus separated from like the Billboard top 25. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of that was because you had to pay to be you almost had to pay to be on the Billboard. So I think that's probably like what I see about it.
I just don't believe, and no disrespect to the indie artists, because I mess with the indie artists, but I just don't think a lot of indie artists have worked hard enough to be on the same platform with a Drake or a Kendrick, or be on the same platform with a LL Cool J or a Nas or a Big Daddy Kane. I don't think they work hard enough, been in the music industry long enough to be on those type of platforms with those type of guys. That's just my thoughts.
Well, I wouldn't use the word work hard enough because you got to think of Drake and a lot of those artists had got a machine behind them. So some of them artists, it may look like they working harder than independent artists just because of where they're at in their career. But I don't necessarily think they necessarily it's because they working harder. I just think because they just in a position where they blessed enough to have Atlantic Records or Warner Brothers or a Def Jam behind them. Where if you just got like let's just say if you just got like I don't know like I'm trying to think of one of these distribution labels.
Like
Um,
a a symphonic or
yeah,
somebody like that.
exactly. If you have like a symphonic behind you, or if you even got like the one that Steve Stout's distribution company, um, a lot of that's just straight distribution. So you gonna have to work. So if you want to get on a level of Drake and all them as far as being seen. You actually got to work a whole lot harder because then they're trying to put you in position because really to make most of the artists make a lot of their money from going on tours than they do records. Like, Drake probably, of course, Drake make his money off of records and him and Kendrick and some of these other artists. But everybody not in those situations. A lot of these artists, it's even mainstream artists that a lot of their money come straight from
I'm
straight from
told.
distribution. You know what I mean from touring, yeah, or whatever. So, it just all depends. You know what I mean? It really just all depends.
Well,
So
I mean, me myself, I just really, I just really think, a lot of times, and then a lot of artists, the ones who've been in the music industry, they'll tell you that the streaming industry rips the independent artists off because
uh
they don't really never push them like you just sign with a distribution company just to put your music on there, but what are they doing for you? Because that is your intellectual property that they have. So what is they really doing for you and how is they pushing? Because if you push it right, you can get your own website and sell your music for 99 cents and get you with a SEO marketing guy and push traffic to your website and and that $10,000 to $20,000 you make per quarter is your $10,000 to $20,000. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and to make $10,000 to $20,000 per quarter, and you're doing it independently, and you don't need a DSP, and you just pushing traffic to your website, that's going to get you noticed anyway.
Yeah, because it's funny because I'm trying to think who I was listening to the other day, and they said that the labels keep put moving the goalposts when it comes to it was what's the guy name? What's the name? Ryan Davis. And he was just talking about as far as just getting your stuff distributed in general, I guess even way like on the comedy side, when he was saying that, he was trying to get a deal with I think Netflix and some other companies. And I know if you heard his story where he ended up like putting his own money and renting out a stadium or whatever, and did his own comedy special on his own site. And he was saying they keep moving the goalposts. He said because one minute they're telling you that they're only looking for artists or whatever who has a fan base and has big streaming numbers. Then they're saying, well, we're not really taking streaming artists right now. We're looking for real talent. So I think that's the biggest problem with the industry anyway is that the industry they don't know they all over the place like you say the actually the mainstream part of the industry is all over the place because they're picking who has the best social numbers over who has the talent. So now when you see people come out they have that one hit wonder and but they don't have a follow-up for it or they don't get another push behind that and then a lot of times it don't even be the artist's fault because sometimes they get behind a record and then that one and then basically what happens is the record doesn't continue to sell because like let's just say I'm an independent artist and I get a million streams on Spotify or YouTube and then by the time a major label gets behind it it kind of lost its steam behind they jump behind it because people done moved on to something else especially in this era. So then what happens is that now they look at their artist as being a bust. Look at somebody like Mo Ray with the what was called the sand quicksand song.
Hmm.
Moray was signed with it. He that song blew up by him just putting it out on YouTube. It blew up. He got signed to an independent label. I think a major got behind it. But then after that, he really didn't come. He couldn't follow. He didn't follow up with nothing else behind that. And Moray is very talented. If you listen to his
He's
music,
he
you know
talented,
what I'm
but
saying?
we know he ain't talented as his brother, but he's very talented. I mean, even though
Yeah.
they come from the same bloodline,
You said
but
who?
Moray
Oh no.
and
Oh, you said somebody bloodline.
yeah, that's Mo three little brother.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
never he never talks about it, so I never heard him say that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So but like I said, so with somebody like that, who basically had to start off from scratch. He got a new management team. He not really with a label no more. And they do a disservice to artists when a lot of these artists don't have to go through the grind and the hustle of building a career up. They get a hot record on YouTube, and all of a sudden everybody just thinks that they're gonna blow. And then think about somebody with Moray. Moray really, and I'm not trying to pick on Moray, but Moray really doesn't have like a he doesn't he wasn't really groomed. Feel what I'm saying? So think about if you took Biggie and put him in a situation like Moray. Biggie was cleaned up for the aesthetics to make us want to follow and get with in a like if with nothing else but Puff. Puff knows how to take his talent and make it aesthetically look good to us. Even if the music not great, when you looking at the artists, they look like superstars. So, but if you look at
Mhm.
him Ray, he doesn't look like a superstar. So if his
No.
music is not hitting you in your like when you if it's not hitting every time, then people not gonna gravitate to a
Yeah.
Moray because you know what I mean.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on 95 South. Please don't go nowhere. We
And
back, we
now,
back, we back. I'm gonna go ahead now.
now it's funny you say that, Icon, because if you take the jury off most of these, a lot of these hip hop artists, especially in the newer generation, they don't look like stars. They don't have clean
Hmm.
images. You know, they don't go to an image consultant. Like imagery is everything, especially when you're trying to get endorsement deals and sponsorships and stuff like that, man. And
Hmm.
when you tell them about imagery and how to clean up their image, man, they look at you like you're talking Chinese or like you're talking in Chinese, man, and like you speak a foreign language. So, what is it that artists? Why don't artists want to work on their image? You're going to be
Because
on national. You're going to be on national TV. You're going to be touring. You're going to be in front of these high end people. They got millions and billions of dollars. And who wants somebody? Who want to get somebody an endorsement or a sponsorship that you know don't have a certain look about them. You know what I mean?
they, yeah, because I think that artists a lot of times feel like with what they who they are and how they portray themselves and trying to keep it real that's gonna work or whatever. Because if they Instagram followers or they TikTok followers or whatever is rocking with it, then they feel like the whole world is gonna rock with it no matter what it is. And that's why me and you always talk about the missing piece of this industry is the real A&Rs, the real artist development. That's not there. It's there no more. You know what I mean? To go back to what Ryan Davis was saying before, it used to be like when you was trying to come up in the comedy world, you had to go put that time and that work into those comedy clubs and build your career up. You couldn't just go from being a skit star to just being a superstar. You had to put the work in. So, a lot of these, like you say, some of the skit stars don't want to do the stand up comedy because they feel like, oh, we making all our money over here. Why should we have to put in the same kind of work that y'all did to blow up? So these
The reason
artists,
the reason why they don't
they
want to put it in because ain't nobody gonna come and see them. You're just doing a skit on social media. Are
hmm
you a are you a real live person that can really make an audience of 5 or 6 thousand people laugh?
exactly, and probably be honest with you, I'm not gonna say all of them can't, but it's some will probably maybe you maybe got I don't know 5 or 6 of them that probably can hold their own on in
Mhm.
both worlds because I mean I've heard like when I watch Country Wayne, he's a good skit star. But when I watch his stand up comedy, it doesn't do nothing for me. You know what I mean? So I mean, and I'm not saying, I mean, you might like say comedy is subjective. You know what I mean, or whatever. So it could be funny to one person and not funny to another person. Just like people look at Dave Chappelle as one of the goats. I don't see him as that because I don't think Dave Chappelle funny. But that's just me. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? But I mean, but then it's funny because the excuse they give him for him not being funny all the time is, oh, he's a new excuse me, still doing excuse me, still doing what's cold. He some people look at him as like the new Dick Gregory. You know what I'm saying? So people looked at Dick Gregory in his older age was Dick Gregory is not really gonna give you stand-up comedian funny, he's gonna give you educational funny. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what people look at Dave Chappelle is like Dick Gregory. So what I'm saying?
I
So
think I think David's playing his own right. You know what I mean? but I think it just depends on the person's sense of humor that's viewing that comedian. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't gonna be funny to everybody because I ain't never thought D.L. Hughley was funny ever.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it like this. I don't think Dave Chappelle is what you would call goat funny. You know what I'm saying? Like if you gonna tell me somebody that's gonna be in a GOAT category of being funny, I would, of course it's Eddie Murphy, it's Martin Lawrence, I would even put to me, even Kevin Hart to me is more of a GOAT than Dave Chappelle when it comes to being funny. You know what I mean? Of course, Richard Pryor, Red Fox. Then I could go with Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac to me is the Biggie Smalls of comedy because his career, well, it had a super impact, but it wasn't long enough for us to really get the full thing of him. But that's who I look at Bernie Mac. I look Bernie Mac in the same like I look at like Biggie. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
like
I, I ain't never thought Kevin Hart was that funny, bro. I don't.
I mean that, but like I said, see, that's a subjective opinion that a
Yeah.
lot of people say that about Kevin Hart. I've heard that before, but Kevin Hart impact, if you look at the impact in what he's done, you can't take that away from him. Just like
No, you can't. No,
the,
you can't.
the impact that people have, the impact that Dave Chappelle have on people, I can't take that away from him. I just don't think he's funny. I would pay money to go see Dave Chappelle. I
Hey,
would say,
man,
I'll pay money to see Kevin Hart, but I wouldn't pay money to see Kevin or Dave Chappelle. That's just
the
me, though.
first
You know what I'm saying?
Dave Chappelle, the first comedian to get 60 million from a major network. So, you know what I mean?
Hey, that's what I said. I can't take
Yeah.
away from his career because
Right.
he got,
Right.
especially with that white audience. That white audience loved Dave Chappelle. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? But I'm just telling you, if you gonna tell me, if you gave me enough money to go to a concert and whatever to a comedy concert, and it was Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle, I'm gonna pick Kevin Hart every time. Because if I go to Dave Chappelle, I'm gonna be sitting there on my phone, looking at Facebook, because I'm gonna be like, this ain't funny to me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And and to me, I can name you 15 comedians that I will pick before Dave Chappelle.
That's
You know
your
what I
right,
mean?
though. That's your
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
That's
So,
your
but
right. Yeah.
but
But
trust me, if we get big, if we get much bigger than what we are, trust me. Like I'm gonna say this for the world, for the world ever hear this. I'm not saying that Dave Chappelle is not funny in the realm of things, or he don't deserve his respect. I just don't think he's not funny to me. That's all I'm saying. But I don't take
I can dig
nothing
it.
away from him.
I can dig it. I can dig it. So we're
You
gonna
know
come
what I
back
mean?
to we gonna tap back into the music, and we gonna come back over to the comedians because Shannon Sharp just recently had an interview with one of the most amazing guys in the world when it comes to putting his family over the threshold. But we gonna come back to that. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of indie artists. So when we was growing up getting in the music business, you only
Mm-hmm.
seen mainstream artists charting on the Billboard charts and stuff like that. But now you
Mm-hmm.
see indie artists just charting. Even
Mm-hmm.
your son has already charted. So
Mm-hmm.
when you talk to your son about, you know, Dove charting, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was those conversations on like for you and him on how they charted?
Well, I mean, when the first time when they started charting, the main thing was with me was to keep the momentum going by because I think the mistake they made was I felt like they didn't do enough visuals. And I told Tay, I said, you got to think y'all in the era of visual. It's like y'all have a core fan base, and y'all did a great job of building y'all fan base through Instagram or whatever, and Spotify. But at the end of the day, if you want to keep that momentum going, that visual has to be there, and you have to be more personable. People gonna want to know who you are. Like I was watching this interview the other day with Will Smith, and Will Smith said what made him start going like his when he put out this latest album, he said he wasn't an Instagram person. He said what made him start going on Instagram, he said because 20 years ago, especially in the movie, being in like movies and stuff, it was like forbidden almost for you to be seen or known, or like being out in public, or people to know you past that. Because what happens is, if people knew it was too much in your personal business or knew too much in you personally, then they wouldn't go necessarily go see the movie. Because it's like, well, I see them all the time, so I'm not gonna really, I ain't really checking for them in no movie. So it's like you had to, you only came out when your movie was coming out. So when your movie coming out, that's when you did your press releases and you did all that stuff for people to be able to touch you and talk to you and all that. But beyond that, it's like I got to stay out of the way when I'm not filming anything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna tell you something else that I heard too. We'll be right back. So keep we back 95 South. So keeping another thing too was, I don't know when you if you ever heard when Steve Harvey was talking to Denzel, and Denzel told Steve Harvey, he said that basically, why is it they was together in a room, they was talking, they was somewhere, and people was walking up to Denzel like going crazy, and Steve Harvey was kind of standing there like, dang, what's this all about? And Denzel had told Steve, he said, because they see you every day on TV or on the radio. He said they only see me once, twice a year on a movie. He said, so that's why. He said, to you, you're more accessible. You like the person that the uncle or somebody they already know. Whereas me, I'm that like that unicorn. I'm that person that basically they like, I'm like an alien or whatever to him, whatever I'm trying to paraphrase him, but he was just basically saying I'm that person that they feel like is untouchable, or they can't reach out and touch me. With Steve Harvey, because he's on TV every day, he can be touched. So, but we're in an era now, to get back, we was talking about with Tay and them, we're in an era now where everybody wants to be able to touch you, feel you, interact with you, in order for them to feel, because they feel entitled to be like, if like, let's say right now we blew up, we was the biggest podcast or TV whatever in the world. If we was out in public and somebody walked up and say, Jacob, I want a picture with you, and you told them no, they'll go blast you all over the internet because you told them no. You might have had a good reason for telling them no, but if you told them no, they're gonna go crazy, and then they're gonna tell everybody to stop following you, stop watching you, stop whatever. Same thing what they would do with me, because they feel like entitlement of, in order for us to invest in your project, we have to feel like we know you as on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference that we are now in this era. And that's what I would tell Tay and them when they started build Charlie. I said it's not about, because he wanted to just keep doing music, keep doing music, keep doing music. I said no, build off of what you're already doing. Just like when they put out Drinks on Me. I said, y'all not building on that enough. Y'all should have shot a video and everything for that song. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
they never did. You know what I'm saying? So they missed that window that they could have had, where that song could have been that could have been a mega star, superstars. Everybody said if nothing else, it was a radio hit. But these kids nowadays don't look at songs, they don't feel like they need radio. But think about that Drinks on Me would have gotten to the on the radio side. How many shows they would have got off of just being on radio? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? How many bookings they would have got just being off on the radio side? But but you can't. But like I said, they look at things where they think if it's not YouTube or Spotify or even SoundCloud, then you're not popping. I mean,
yeah. The industry is known to brainwash the younger people. You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm,
they won't listen to a person who been doing it for 20 years that use the analog and the digital era and and mix them up into one ball. You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm,
you're right. That song definitely could have been a hit. It could have been a nice setting, some wine, some cognac, and all type of different stuff, man. That and it still can be. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Um, especially if the record ain't been serviced right. So it can still be that, man. And
yeah, yeah. Because
with, with
they had a liquor company that was interested at one time and maybe using that song or whatever.
mhm.
You know what I mean? But like I said, they didn't follow up on it the way they should have. But they had interest with people like taking that song and taking and doing something else with it. But like I
Mhm.
said, if if you looking at it, if your vision is something different, and then it got to the point where how are you so early in your career and you thinking, oh, I don't want to keep performing that song, or I don't want that song to be our song that people know us about. And I'm like, oh, so y'all got it all twisted, because if you look at Look at the Osley brothers. You don't think Between the Sheets, that's probably one of their biggest records. You if they just gave up on that record and stopped performing it, do you think they would still be getting book shows? If you look at Dougie Fresh and the show, you think people would still book him if he didn't want to start, if he stopped doing the show? You know what I'm
If you
saying?
look
So
at
you gotta
if you look at Big Daddy Kane, ain't no half step. You look at Rakim, paid in full. If you look at 50 Cent in the club, you know, if you look at people like Ja Rule, he had a signature song. Everybody had a signature song, man. Mobb Deep had a signature song.
exactly, exactly.
Biggie had a signature song. Uh, the Lost had a signature song. You know what I mean? Everybody had a signature song that you can play still to this day, 25, 30 years later. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. And I guarantee you, if you had the signature song and you didn't perform that signature song when you perform, you gonna get booed and talked about, you know what I'm saying, for a long time after that show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't get these new artists when it's like, oh, I put out a hit, it does good, I'm moving on. Okay, if you move on from your biggest hit, then you're gonna be moving on for good. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it is when the last time Dougie Fresh, and I'm just using Dougie Fresh as an example because he one of the greats or whatever. When the last time Dougie Fresh had a hit record? Probably what
Mm.
88, 89, something like that, 90, whatever it was the last thing he put out. But the man
Right.
probably he a multi-millionaire by performing Lottie Dottie, the show, um, a couple other joints he got. He probably got maybe four joints that Dougie Fresh performed at, but he considered one of the greatest entertainers of all time in hip hop. You know what I'm
If
saying?
not
Off of
the
them four joints.
if, if not the greatest
Ex-
entertainer.
Exactly, in hip hop. Off of four joints. You know what I'm saying? But these young people thinking, oh man, I do this here, I do this one song. If I make one hit, yeah, you might can make another hit. I'm not saying you can't. But your one major hit is never gonna be good enough. Michael Jackson
Mhm.
could never make another Thriller, no matter how many other joints he made after Thriller. He could never make another Thriller. As great
Just
as
like
Michael
Prince,
Jackson was,
just
you know what
like
I'm saying?
Prince could never make another Purple Rain.
Exactly. As great as he was, wasn't nothing great as Purple Rain. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's had that mark. It may be early, it may be in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So, Michael Jackson was so great. It was later in his career. So it was like what I guess you want to say almost shoot. He's so great. It was 25 years into his career that he made that monster. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think he came out. No. What I'm saying, hold on, when he come out? Michael Jackson came out, no, I'm thinking about when he was born. So he came out about 64, 65, 63, 64. So it was what, 20, probably 19, 20 years into his career where he made his
Mhm.
his real monster. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
because he been in his career since he was 8, 9 years old. So
Really five. He was like five,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, when they started.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
and
really,
I
yeah,
always remember he was born in 58 because I always remember he was born 5 years after my mom's. So
right.
that's why I always know how old he was. So he was 63, 64 when they really started. Uh, like six about when he got about 8, that's when he blew up. But
Right.
I think they started touring and like really hitting doing what they thing when he was like 5.
They're
You know
doing
what I'm
talent
saying?
shows and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, but going back, but basically what you were saying, like to me, I just try to always stay on top of him about just always grabbing the momentum of the moment and not taking it for granted the moment that you're in and to capitalize on that moment. That's what I would tell any young artist is always understand how to capitalize on the moment that you're in. Don't quit looking ahead of where you at. Focus on where you at right then and there. So
Right. Right. So do you think artists um really understand the capitalization of the moment that you have the record hot in and even if it's hot and it's charting, then don't you think that they should chart with some chart well follow up with some more radio campaigns to keep the record buzzing for at least 6 to 9 months?
yeah, yeah. Because the thing about it is if you get a hot record, let's say you get a hot record on on one of these independent radio stations, or you just get a great buzz going. What'll happen is the majors will start looking into it, and those program directors was going to be like, "Why don't we have this record? Why don't we know about this record over here?" And so, not to say you might not eventually have to put some money into the major radio stations, but what happened is the major radio stations may put slowly but surely put you in some kind of rotation because they don't want to be left out. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a big record that's blowing up all over the independent market, that major um, radio station has no other choice but to play your record. They have no other choice. You know what I'm saying? Even if they give you 4 or 5 spins a day, they got to do something. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. But if you in rotation like that, spinning, you can probably if you budgeting yourself right, you can make your royalty money back enough where you can say, you know what, let's step our game up and go and put our money into the majors. But at the end of the day, you got to be consistent with it. Because I got a story that it was a guy it was a guy who was trying to do a major campaign. It was gonna cost him about 12 G's to do it, and he had and the guy, the label was a major label that was gonna invest in it. The campaign might have been more than that. I might have been close to about 30,000 to come to think about it. But whatever it was, it was a major record exec. He was on vacation. It was like 4th of July. He came off the road. He was going, meet up with the artist, about this campaign and signing them. When he came home, when came out, he was like on his yacht somewhere. He came, left his yacht. Manager called, said the artist has changed his mind. From then on, they blackballed that artist. The artist was never given another opportunity to be able to do anything else. Because at the end of the day, you dang sure can't waste these billionaires' times. But at the end of the day, the whole lesson to that is if you're going to be serious about this, you have to be willing to be disciplined and understand when you do these campaigns, you can't do them monthly. You know what I mean? When I used to be with a company pushing these radio campaigns, if you say, well, I'm gonna try a 30-day campaign, we'd be like, if you're using the word try, then we only want to do business with you. At the end of the day, you gotta be saying, I'm gonna do this 30-day campaign, and then after the 30-day campaign, we're gonna come back, look at the numbers, and see what's next. But if you say, I'm gonna try and see, because that means 30 days is up, you're gonna be done moved on to something else. And it's gonna defeat the
Right.
whole purpose because it's gonna look like it was the people that were trying to help you push your record, the radio stations. Oh well, they full of it. They don't really help you because you ain't really putting no real work in to try to push the record. You just want to think it's gonna be a one and done situation, and that's it. But you got to keep promoting and marketing and putting work behind it. But we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. We back. Man, like me and this podcast and TV stuff. You got to invest in it.
Yeah,
We can come on here every Sunday, every Saturday morning, every Saturday night. But if we don't put no kind of investment in it, it ain't gonna go nowhere.
that's
You know
right.
what I mean? And the main thing for us is the reason what we can stay somewhat relevant and push the way we push because of our relationships that we've had in the past. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And whatever, or the people that we meet along the way because we willing to get out in front of folks. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, you go to the next, question. I keep going on and on.
Um, we'll take a quick commercial break. Then we right back with 95 South TV.
You want to take another break?
Yeah.
Um,
All
okay,
right. So
that's funny. That
Sha-
was
Sha-
funny.
Shannon Sharp,
Uh,
I ain't gonna never call him Uncle Shay Shay because I feel like you call somebody Uncle Shay Shay, they might come in the audience with a dress or something. I ain't gonna never call
they
him
might
Uncle
what?
Shay Shay. He might wear a dress one day. I ain't gonna call him no Uncle Shay Shay.
You
You know what I mean?
stupid.
Man, no, bro. Uncle Shay
Only you.
Shay,
Only you.
man, that sounds like some auntie, somebody. auntie around the corner that serve bologna sandwiches and give you a glass of Kool-Aid. You know what? Shay. No, bro. No, man. Shannon Sharp, bro. Had Damian Wayne's on there, right? And he was just he was asking about how do comedians beef. I didn't know that comedians beef. And Shannon was talking about when he brought Cat Williams on there. Man, you know how Cat Williams is. I'm gonna give you the truth, and some people don't like it, some people ain't gonna like it, but it is what it is.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know how
yeah,
Cat talk.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so 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 when Cat was dropping them bombs and whatnot, he asked, Damien how he felt about it. Damien said, "That's Cat. I just laugh about it, man. Like, I ain't take no offense to it." And so with Damon saying that he didn't take no offense to it, what was your thoughts about how his mindset is when he said he didn't take no offense to it?
Well, because for one, he said that Cat used to open up for him. So he got a certain love and affinity for Cat because he didn't see Cat from the beginning. And to him, he like it's all entertainment. He said, now, do he feel like that comedians? He said the comedians, it's enough going on in the world where comedians shouldn't be going at it and putting out like their dirty laundry or whatever the way he did it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I felt like most of the stuff, if you was a fan of comedy over the years, most stuff we already heard about most of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was only those people those casual fans that really didn't follow comics like that or the comedy world that didn't know some of these stuff. But I know me and you, I've heard most of these stories. You know what I mean? I heard about the way Steve Harvey treated people. I heard about the probably the one thing I never heard about was the whole thing with Ricky Smiley, and I think he handled it the best out of everybody. Like Ricky Smiley was more like, he didn't stoop down to that level of going back and forth with Cat. He just like, well, Cat, if we got a misunderstanding, let's just sit down and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, this was right after his son had passed. So I know he really didn't want to get into it with Cat, whatever, at that moment in time. His mind was somewhere else. But I just felt like, the artists the comedians that kind of, and it was funny because it was comedians that was coming at Cat and he didn't even say nothing about. So I'm just like, why y'all saying something? He didn't say nothing about y'all. Y'all ain't got nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? That was the funny part to me when I heard certain people like Mike Epps and certain people come at Cat. And I was like, why is you saying something? It's like y'all trying to draw attention to yourselves when y'all ain't had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like seeing two grown people argue and you want to throw, why are you arguing with them? Like, what? Like, like the whole thing with Chris Rock. Everybody talking about what they would have done. Ain't got nothing to do with y'all. That's between Chris Rock and Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Even his brother, like his brother talking all big bad. Well, ain't nobody scared of you, Tony. Stop this. Ain't nobody
Hey
scared of
man,
you, Tony.
hey
Stop
man,
this.
all I know is that's gonna be remembered for a very long time. And when it
Mm-hmm.
and when it being remembered, no matter what Chris Rock do, no matter what movie, no matter what comedy series on, you the one that Will Smith slap, ain't you? It's gonna be hard to live.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to live that down, I come.
Yeah. We heard what David said. David said, hey, somebody come up on stage with me, I'm gonna hit him with the doggone microphone stand. He told me, you know how heavy them things is? You
Yeah,
know, somebody, I ain't about to fight you now. He told, I'm too old for that. But I'll hit you with that
right,
microphone
right,
stand.
right,
You
right.
know
Because
what I mean?
Jamie was 63, 64 now.
Yeah, he's 64. He's 64.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah. So
mean?
Damon been doing this for a long time, man.
Yeah, man. I got super respect. When I heard his story more too, I always had respect for them anyway. That's why I ain't like the way Vlad tried to play Marlon. I'm like, bro, like that's the one time everybody got on Vlad head because it's like, bro, you dealing with legends. Like when they talk about the Mannings in football and they talk about certain people, legends, like you talk about Michael Jordan in basketball, or you talk about Tiger Woods in golf, or whatever, or Serena Williams in tennis. The Wayans is like that. They them. You know what I'm saying? They on that level. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is people don't realize Keenan Wayans opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people. Even Jim Carrey gives him homage. You know what I'm saying? It was
And
funny
that's
because Damon Wayans called
he
him, they called him their Eminem, their Eminem, like Jim Carrey's their Eminem. Like, they birthed their Eminem in comedy with Jim Carrey. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah. You know,
uh,
Keenan Wayne, Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damien, man, and what was amazing on how he fought. He used to fuss with his parents, not in a disrespectful way, but just had to mold his dad, because his mom was gonna be cool with whatever. And because he said, the mom said, well, whatever your dad say. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And so he was like my older brother, who was like a father figure to me, stood up for all of us because he already had in his mind that my whole family can do this, and we all can be somebody. And so that's why he fought
Mhm.
so hard. That's why he fought so hard, man, to really let his dad see, man, that we can really do this. It can change all our lives. And his dad finally gave in, and the rest is history. Look at the whole family now. You know what I mean?
But you know what? But he said something, and you probably feel this way when he said it. It probably hit you because you grew up with your dad in the home. And when Shannon said, "What was the best thing that your dad did for you, advice or whatever?" He said, "The best gift my dad ever gave us is that he came home every night."
That's right.
And
That's right.
I said, wow. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, it wasn't, oh, my dad said this or he did that. He came home every night. And this man worked 3 jobs,
Yeah.
but he managed to get home. He might have been a hard disciplinarian and, whatever. And I know a lot of people look at today, oh, man, y'all dad was, the worst dad in the world. He was beating y'all, doing this, doing that, doing. But in them times, it was a different time. It was a different time. So, most of us would have wished we would have had a dad that would have been there, that been there to discipline us, but at the same time, like he said, he had kept the roof over their head. But with the funniest thing that David said, what he said, boy, my mama used to get on my dad and cuss him out so bad and so bad and disrespect that man. So we be over there looking like, "Damn, why don't you just hit him one time?" I like, boy, I said, hell no.
Oh man,
I said, he said, "You think I'm
man.
lying?" I said, "Boy, you know it's bad when you tell your mama cussing at your dad so bad, and you looking at my dad like, Mom, just go hit him one time, Mom or Dad. Go ahead and say swing on him." Like, golly. Like that must have been rough.
Kids,
But he said when
kids,
she
boy.
died
See,
though,
but
he said, "I miss my gal. I miss my gal." He said, that's what he said at the funeral. He said when his mama when he said when the white when their mama died, 'cause I guess the mom passed before the dad. He said, "I miss
uh,
my gal. Miss my gal." Oh,
yeah,
man,
man.
so
Yeah, yeah. And then
but
and then Marlon was the pet. The little corn snatcher. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The mama ain't want nobody to say nothing to Marlon. So if you said something to that one, boy, you had some problems on your hands. So but man,
Mhm.
to me, that's that's one of the most historical black families ever. As
Yeah.
far as for of course you got the Jackson that's royalty, but and then you got the whinings of gospel royalty, and then you got the
Mhm.
whinings of the comedy in the acting world. So you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
so you so you know you we got some black royalty families, man. That really set a great example. You know what I mean?
Think about this before we go. Just imagine if you look at like the balls and you look at LeBron and his son and the way
Uh-huh.
people come at them the way they do. Just imagine if people treated the Wayans like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you'd be like, oh, why y'all putting the whole family on? Hey, all of them get to eat. And then like the Damon said, what's the whole Marlon said the same thing. What's the whole purpose of us being able to do what we doing if we can't bring our family along? He said, you know
Yeah.
how happy I am and how much fun we have at work when we at work and we all working together, what I'm saying, on a movie or a show or a project together. He said, I had the most fun in the world when I'm at work with my family. You know what I'm saying? So I don't that's the mentality. That's one of them things that we got to talk about on the future show is how black folks don't understand the whole purpose of when a person in your family, people are quick to say, when such and such blow up, when we all blow up. When such and such get big, we all get big. But as soon as a person get big and you bring home the whole family along, everybody just thinks you're supposed to bring the whole family along and just give them money. No, even Country Wayne to tell you, he got all his children is in his skits. His baby mama's in his skits. So everybody gonna earn their money, earn their keep, instead of you just giving them the money. You know what I'm
I
saying?
heard
And
I heard
that's
some
how you build black wealth.
I heard somebody say, well, why Michael Jordan gave all his kids 20% of Jumpman. They ain't did nothing to work hard for the Jumpman. That's the purpose. So they ain't got to work hard. They his children.
Yeah, and you can still make them work hard to a certain degree. Who was that said that when they kids like basically when it was a Shaq was like he only gave his kids like Honda Civics or whatever it was or like some kind of cheap car. He didn't give them like the Mercedes Benz and all that for their first cars, and they had to go like you said. He said all his kids had to go to college and get degrees and stuff for them to get the money. So it's not like he wasn't gonna give them the money, but you gonna have
Yeah.
you can earn it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can still put stipulations on the earning of the money because nobody ain't saying nothing about Elon Musk. People don't know what Elon Musk got a trust fund set up for everybody in his family. So if you marry, you get a certain amount of money. If you single, you get a certain amount of money. If you whatever it is, like so everybody in his family get like a certain amount of a stipend each month based on their status, depending on how much money they get each month. Ain't nobody saying nothing about Elon. And you know what people say? Oh, that's smart. You know what I'm saying? But when black people do it, oh y'all, oh you can't they can't earn any money. You
Like
just gonna
like
give it
like
away, huh?
like what's the difference? What's the difference between Ken Griffin and his dad, Barry Bonds and his dad? What's the what's the difference between them and LeBron and his kids? It ain't no difference, man.
It ain't no difference. It ain't no difference. It ain't no difference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some people gonna be better than others and
Mhm.
earn however they earn it, they earn it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make it no wrong. It doesn't make it wrong for you to give your kids what you want to give them. If I worked extremely hard for 20, 30 years to build a company, I have the right to give it whoever I want to give it to get to
Yeah,
pass
yeah,
it down whoever I want to pass it down to. Who I
that's right.
pass it down to has that's just like in a regular people look at sometimes as athletes and regular people like it's different rules. Like I always say, if you got a law firm, if you had a medical clinic, if you had a car wash, you had a restaurant, what are you gonna do if what are you gonna do when your kids get of age? You want to pass that down to them. So LeBron was played long enough in basketball to pass down what he passed down to his family. The Wayans worked hard enough the way they work, where they pass it down to their kids. And I even heard Roxanne Shante said in her interview, she said, if anybody's going to play me in a movie, it's going to be my daughter every time. And she said, I done set it up when anytime, if anybody want to do a story and use my likeness in a movie, they have to use my daughter. And she
Yeah,
set it up that way.
ain't never wrong
You
with
know what
that.
I'm saying?
I,
So
I can agree.
exactly. But anyway, man, nice show. Once again, but like I said, we got one more season, one more episode left for this season, and we about to get in some big, some major stuff, major moves. We gonna announce that on the next episode, but we probably gonna announce more stuff tomorrow because tomorrow's the season finale in the morning of 910 Sports. And we gonna announce make a big announcement in the morning. So please stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. But anyway, we out. Catch y'all. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful weekend. If I don't talk to y'all the rest of the week, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just be productive and do something for somebody that you normally wouldn't do. And we out.
Peace.
Hey.
Brown skinned girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind.